Hello. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the concept of going after the medium level guys, what their needs are and how you can help them. If you go after too many new realtors or those that are low producers that have been in the business for a while, they're going to suck you dry and they're not going to produce enough volume to help you to be able to pay your bills. On the flip side, the bigger end realtors typically will either have a lender in the bag already or they'll be doing their own lending within their team. Usually, depending on the state, they'll have an in-house loan officer and the head agent or broker will be making money off of them. However, our perfect segment, the thing we're looking for, is that guy who does 1 to 2 to 3 deals a month consistently, yet he doesn't have the infrastructure he needs to move to that next level. Those guys are where your money is. Now we're going to talk about how to go after them, how to talk with them, and how to add value to their business plan. Now let's go ahead and put ourselves in the mind of somebody who we would call a medium level producer. Typically, medium level producers go out there and prospect, or they have some referrals and they work those alongside of some marketing that they do. Usually they'll make less than $120,000 a year. However, they know that there's potential for them to make $200,000, $300,000, or $400,000 a year, but they don't know how to make that jump, that leap. Now, one of the things that we can do to help them is to supply them what they need as far as lead follow-up. And we're going to talk about some lead follow-up methods later on. But their greatest concern is that their business is slipping away from them. And typically that is because they haven't delegated or been able to hire enough people to be able to build their volume to that next level. We all only have 24 hours in a day, and typically some of us do need to sleep. Usually a medium level producer will put in a 60 to 80 hour week. They'll be stressed, they'll be working hard, and every little thing that creates another problem or sets off another fire that they have to put out is something that they will stamp out quickly. So if you as a loan officer don't know your stuff and you're starting fires or causing problems, they're going to cut you off very, very quickly. And you have to understand it from their point of view. They are working, it's just them, maybe they have their wife or an assistant working with them, and they're pushing to make it happen. They don't have a large team. They don't have people that you can talk with, that you can spend time with and try to fix things. In their situation, they are Mr. Fix-It. And if you're creating situations for them, or if you're not able to take care of it by yourself without having to distract them, they will pretty soon cut you off. Now, medium level producers, how do we go after them? Quite simply, we pick up the phone and we call them. That's one way. The second way, and I think the most efficient way, is to go after active listings. Now, to do this, you typically will not be able to be a member of the board of realtors as an active realtor yourself, nor will you be able to be an affiliate member, which means that many times title companies and loan companies will sign up with the board of realtors as an affiliate member to get access to the list. And if you do so, usually you have to obey the board rules of non-solicitation of active listings. In fact, we're going to act like ghosts under the radar for the most part, and we're just going to kind of slip in there. Here's the way we're going to do it. We're going to go to their active listings. That means people who have listed their home, who are trying to get it sold, and we're not even going to bring up the fact that we're going to try to hook back around and get to the realtor. We're going to only talk to these people about financing them for whenever they walk into their next home. Now, what do we know about people that have active listings? Well, quite simply, they usually have equity. Depending on the situation. If it's a short sale situation, they may have no equity. But there are still people out there who are going to sell a house and have some amount of equity coming into it. Also, you'll have some people that are in a short sale situation that still want to know their options. So you have the privilege, you have the right of calling that realtor after you sit down and do an application with those people at their table and saying, Mr. or Mrs. Realtor, I just met with your client, John Smith, the other night, and we filled out a mortgage application. I just wanted to update you as to where the process was at and then just keep you in the loop. Can you tell me, are you going to be representing them when they buy their next home? And usually that'll open up a conversation. See, I'm not talking about how I have the best service. I'm not talking about how I have the best rates. I'm not begging them for business. I'm just sticking to business, and I'm talking factually, just asking them, are you going to represent them on their next deal? And if they say no, I'll say, well, great. Are you going to refer them to another realtor? Well, probably, yeah. Great. Let me ask you a question. How did you get this work with the Smiths? Did you prospect them, or did they come from a referral? And then just try to strike up a conversation. And then from there, what you should say is, "Hey, I don't know. I'm sure you get solicited quite often by loan officers, and that wasn't the reason for this call in particular. But what I'd like to do is sit down and talk with you. I've seen on the MLS that you have a couple other listings in the area, and we have a pretty good farming program that we help out our realtors with that will typically add an extra $10,000 to $20,000 to their bottom line revenue every year. And also we have some great lead follow-up systems, so we help you to be able to cultivate your database and not miss any opportunities. Would Tuesday or Wednesday be good to sit down for about 10-15 minutes just to get a face-to-face? And sometimes they'll say no, and you just be like, no problem, fine. But remember, you have the ability to call this realtor once every week and just keep cultivating them and keep working them over and keep talking with them. Sometimes the realtors will flip back on you after a couple of weeks and say, you know what, I have a deal, but this other loan officer dropped it. Would you see what you can do with it? And that's a great opportunity. Those do crop up as you stay in contact with the realtor. Also, you're going to want to make sure you add your realtor to your constant contact email list. And you can either use the company constant contact, but there's a lot of other vendors out there that'll do the same thing, where every week you can send them something of interest. And that keeps you of top of mind awareness. Also, once the deal has completed and once they've closed their deal, you want to congratulate them and also talk with them about what type of house they're going to walk the client into next. So that way you keep the conversation active. You keep working with them. And then if they represent the client when they buy their next home, and if you do the loan on them, I would go ahead and call them and talk with them, and also write a letter to the broker complimenting the broker on how good a job that realtor did. The broker many times will go back to the realtor and talk with them. By that time, you've pretty much cemented yourself in, and if you want that realtor, you do have the privilege and you do have the right at that point of going ahead and getting the majority of their business. It's not as scary, it's not as complicated. But the reason that my approach works a little bit better than the people that just simply dive bomb into real estate offices, drop off literature, and disappear is I have the right to call that realtor. I'm actively working with their client. Now, some realtors will get mad and they'll say, how dare you talk to my client? Why did you solicit them? Blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about it. Some realtors are jerks. But luckily, in most boards, there's a couple thousand realtors. So if you run into a couple of jerk-offs, not a problem. Just move on to the next opportunity. Because there's plenty of realtors that will stop and say, oh yeah, really? And they'll talk with you. And they're cool. There's a lot of cool realtors out there. There's a lot of jerks too, but there's a lot of really nice ones. So just remember, some will, some won't, so what? Next. And just treat them like any other kind of lead to some degree. Now you don't want to burn it and curse at them and create a problem later on that'll come back to haunt you. But just remember, not all realtors are business professionals. The medium level guys want somebody who will follow up with them, who will communicate with them, and who they don't have to chase after for things, because the medium level realtors do not typically have assistants, or if they do, their assistant is in a very limited part-time role. So if you stay on top of it, if you just once or twice a week follow up with them and send them information via email and phone call, you're going to be in a great position to get the majority of their business, and also quite possibly the business of other realtors within their office as they move on. Now, the next lesson we're going to teach on is how to stay on top of your business, because quite quickly your number of leads will start to build and skyrocket. And let's talk about how to start and then stay on top of your business as it gets going.